Boker Tov, everyone. Shalom. Rabbi Eric Solomon, Raleigh, North Carolina. It is Tuesday, March 31st. Beth Meyer Synagogue. Here once again to offer hopefully some Torah inspiration for the morning under this COVID-19. And I want to dedicate this morning's teaching to all those who are on the front lines this morning. And we could really do this every day, and we've been offering prayers in our congregation and in my own personal prayers for all those who are suffering from the virus, to all those who've lost people to the virus, and those who are professionals, medical professionals, first responders, really out there in the field throughout the world. It's so inspiring, the dedicated sacrifice, but particularly at this time I'm thinking of New York, and my roots are in New York, so is my wife, Rabbi Jenny, as well as just such a significant part of the Jewish community. But beyond that, just as a country and as a world, we're holding all those in our heart who are fighting truly to save lives, do the highest commandment, highest mitzvah. What I want to share this morning in the spirit of Passover, this upcoming Shabbat is Shabbat HaGadol, the big Shabbat, approaching Passover, Pesach, the Seders. And we spend this week dedicating ourselves towards getting ready. So the question I want to ask and what I want to lift up is a question I've loved for years. I've written about it in different times. I want to bring it here, which is, where exactly was the blood placed on the doorposts on the night of the first Pesach or Passover, when it happened? Leil Shimurim, the night of watching. So just to go back to the story, remind you, some of you know different versions. In the Pesach story, we're in Egypt, we're enslaved, the plagues, finally the last plague comes, which Pharaoh determines. Because Pharaoh says, I'm going to smite your firstborn dead. And Moshe says, according to what God has told me, you, Pharaoh, whatever you tell you want to do to us, it will end up coming back against you. Tragically, ends up being the killing of the firstborn of Egyptian children. And according to the story, the angel of death will pass over, that's where the holiday comes from, the houses of the Israelites, the Hebrews, and will go only to attack the Egyptians. And how does the angel supposed to know that which houses are Hebrew and which are Egyptian? Because there will be blood on the doorpost, on the lintel, which is the term for the upper piece of wood or whatever, upper part of the doorpost. And so we go and slaughter lambs, take that lamb's blood and brush it on the doorpost, on the lintel. And the question the rabbis after, commentaries that I just love, is about where exactly was the blood placed. There's different, if you think about it, the lintel and doorposts, you could put it on the outside of lintel and doorpost, which would be primarily seen by those external to the house. You could put it right in the middle, right somehow, like, if you open the door, or you could put it on the inside. Three different possibilities of kind of where you could put it. And you could see different ideas about which would be powerful. If you put the blood on the outside, and the Torah does not tell you exactly where, but the Torah's placed, if the blood's on the outside, then you could see it as like a statement to the Egyptians. Like, not only are we putting this here because God's commanded us, which perhaps Egyptians were skeptical about, but we also do with lamb's blood. And since the lamb was a god, one of the gods in the pantheon of Egyptian religious symbols, therefore it was kind of a statement to the Egyptians, a strong statement that look what's going to happen to you soon, and something like this. It was kind of a tease or a promise. This is what the blood is. This is what we're doing, and we're confident in a sense externally. But there's also risk in that. It's kind of provocative. It was put in the middle. Maybe it's not seen by either. It's kind of just a hidden thing completely. And then the idea is you could put it on the inside. That this is not meant for, the angel of death doesn't need to see it per se. You would imagine angel of death should know, where people live, if this is God's angel per se, according to the story. So to put on the inside would mean it's not seen by the Egyptians. It is fulfilling the commandment as asked or demanded by the Torah, by God, by Moshe, but it's on the inside. So then the question, why would you need on the inside? Why need the symbol at all if the angel should know? And one of my favorite answers is the The truth is it had to go on the inside, because that last placing of the blood on the doorpost and lintel was not actually for anyone else. It wasn't for God, it wasn't for the angel, it wasn't even for the Egyptians. It was for our people. And one can imagine that after the slavery, bondage, plagues, the suffering, the despair, our people would really be in a place of potential hopelessness and even a lack of belief. You know, many teachers have taught, rabbis taught, how the 10 plagues are an educational process, not simply for the Egyptians. They were really for the Hebrews, for our people, to get them on board with what's happening here, to transition a slave mentality to a free, to think about the potential that life could be different, that the world could be different, can take a radical transformation that really needs a nudge, a strong push to get to that place. So blood and doorposts, I love to see, is actually on the inside, to remind the Hebrews that change is possible. The world can be different, and to have hope. That has been a message, you know. The State of Israel's national anthem is Hatikva, the hope. That even when things are at its worst, whether it's in Jewish history and world history, terrorist moments, 9/11, or even during this virus, we have within us still the ability, even if difficult, to maintain hope. So one of my favorite stories, I've shared it before, but I want to end with this. Hugo Gryn, a rabbi, a British rabbi, Alav Shalom, who survived concentration camps with his father, tells a powerful story about Hanukkah. And it was Hanukkah in the camps with his father. And his father traded his rations of potatoes and basic food, they were starving obviously, with a Nazi guard in order to get some wax and a few matches to kind of make a makeshift menorah Chanukiah to light Hanukkah candles in the barracks, which was life-threatening under itself because, you know, if they found this, they would kill him. The Nazis would kill him, his father. So this teenage Hugo Gryn went to his father and said, "What are you doing, Dad? You can't do this. You're threatening not only you, us, but yourself definitely. And for Hanukkah, we know all the mitzvot are canceled for the sake of pikuach nefesh, for saving a life. Why are you doing this?" And he said powerfully, "Son, we know we can live 3 weeks without food. We know we can live 3 days without water. We can't live 3 minutes without hope." And he lit the first Hanukkah candle. That's what we're going to have to do, friends, you know? It doesn't mean we just pray and don't do the medically correct things or socially distant. We must. We must do everything that God has given us the ability to understand. That is a very Jewish concept, to follow medical. The Rambam is the king of this. Also a doctor, also a jurist. That science is not in conflict with medicine. I heard this morning about a preacher in Tampa who refused to follow the orders of gathering and was arrested. Thank God. He's breaking the sense that God isn't against science, God is with science. This is how we grow. God has given us the potential to understand our world more and more, please God. But part of that is about hopefulness. It's about what goes beyond what we can only see, but about the potential of what we don't see yet, but we could see. So I know keeping hope alive in this difficult circumstance, it's not easy. It's challenging. It's hard, but this is actually where faith is tested and where faith is needed more than ever. So I invite you, if you pray regularly or you don't, it doesn't matter. Sometimes the prayer is not for, let's say, a specific thing if you're not into prayer so much, but maybe just praying, God, give me a sense of hope. Help me be hopeful. Help me keep hope alive. Because we can't live even a few minutes. The Jewish teaching of the mezuzah on the inside, on the blood on the inside, is that hope is critical for us, to remind us. And that's the message of the blood, in my view. Not on the doorposts only, but on the inside of the doorposts. Wish everyone, God willing, a hopeful day, a safe day, and a healthy day. And Yirtzeh Hashem, God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Shalom.